DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh is joining us from Jerusalem with the latest. Amrit, as Israel ramps up the Gaza strikes, what are the real gains made by Israeli forces as far as the conflict with Hamas is concerned?
Shubhendu, you'll have to repeat your question. There was a slight audio problem.
Yeah, sure. Amrit, I was asking, with the ongoing conflict, what are the real gains made by the Israeli forces against Hamas?
Okay, Israeli forces have been able to hit some infrastructure of Hamas. They've been able to kill some of the political and military leadership. That's what they've been able to do. In terms of Hamas having weakened, well, there has to be an authentic report. Once a neutral party is able to give a report, there are claims and counterclaims. But let me tell you, Hamas still continues to remain strong because Hamas has a huge, cache of arms, rockets. It is continuously firing rockets into Israel. Till as the situation stands here, they tried, what I heard was they tried to enter yesterday from a point along the Gazan border, but they retaliated. One soldier of the Israelis was killed, 3 injured. So it is not very easy for them to go as if now. It is not that they can walk in and they would not meet resistance. They are a superior military power in terms of arsenal, in terms of military equipment, in terms of the sophisticacy of weaponry, etc. But Hamas is a guerrilla force, and fighting guerrillas in built-up areas has its own set of challenges. And they've amassed, obviously, when they did such an attack, they had prepared for retaliation from Israel. So they still remain a formidable force which can cause considerable damage to the Israeli side as well if Israel goes in. And perhaps that is the reason why, despite the grandstanding, despite the statements, we will finish them and we'll decimate them and they wouldn't know what hit them, they are and having amassed huge number of troops and equipment along the Gazan border, they are still not entering the Gazan border. Of course, one factor would also be the hostages and what could happen to them. But I think in terms of sheer military assessment, it will not be very easy for the Israelis to enter. They can enter, but they will take a hit.
Okay, Amrit, amidst the ongoing conflict, calls for humanitarian aid for civilians in Gaza has also been growing. What is the latest that you can share with us as far as supply and access to this aid is concerned?
Aid is going in. Yesterday 14 trucks went. Today we hear about 16 trucks have gone in. It's still day here. Trucks can go in. The agreement is of 20 trucks, though the UN aid chief very clearly said there's a small glimmer of hope. By assessment of the UN Refugee Agency and the UN Aid Agency, also of the Red Crescent, they need at least 100 trucks of humanitarian aid, including medical aid, on an everyday basis. That's the kind of requirement that is there, but that's not agreed upon. So 20 trucks are going. Something is better than nothing. It flows unimpeded, at least till now. So that's what the situation is.
And Amrit, finally, we see a series of high-profile visits to Israel of world leaders. Is there a certain common design, a direction in the diplomatic exchanges that are taking place?
The Western leaders are visiting, Olaf Scholz to Rishi Sunak to Joe Biden, now the Greek Prime Minister and the Netherlands Prime Minister visiting and meeting Netanyahu. They've expressed support for Israel. They say, we understand the reasons why you're conducting this military strike, etc., and the military campaign. And they say, we support you from day one, we continue to support you, you have our diplomatic and moral support. But they are also voicing concerns about the rising humanitarian costs. In fact, the Greek Prime Minister very clearly told Netanyahu today that they are worried about the humanitarian costs, and Israel should take measures to minimize the human costs and the loss of lives. And they've been calling upon Hamas, making statements to Hamas to release the hostages. Those negotiations via Qatar are going on. But yeah, that's what diplomacy is trying to do, to see what they can negotiate with the Israelis. And they're basically also building pressure on them for not going inside, because that would mean a steep climb in the number of casualties to the civilian Gazans. Today, in fact, the Greek Prime Minister's exact words were, Palestinians are not Hamas, clearly drawing a distinction, saying that we'll have to factor in the lives of the common civilians in Gaza. So that's what they're telling Netanyahu. The West continues to support Israel on this, and Israel has made it clear to the countries. Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to Western leaders and very clearly made it clear that unless Israel achieves its military objective, Israel is not going to let up the strikes on Hamas.
Amritpal, thank you for joining us with those updates from Jerusalem.